My name is Beatrice Edu. Thank you very much for joining us today. NPP youth in 6 districts of Ghana have staged riots to protest President Akufo-Addo's nominees to head their metropolitan, municipal and district assemblies. Supporters in Impoho, Tolon and Zebila have expressed anger after the announcement of the list of nominees yesterday. Here are some excerpts.
He's competent. I mean, he's competent enough to do the job. Okay, Mr. Busaza is there from Kumtaman. He's competent enough to do the job. Mr. Barak Bulum, okay, the vice secretary is there. He's competent enough to do the job. There are so many, even myself, as I speak to you right now, I can go do that job. Okay, yeah, nothing is done about it. This is not just the beginning. This is just the beginning. This is not the end. We will bend down houses. We will bend down paraphernalia. We will bend down offices. And in fact, I must say that we issue a statement. Nana Akufo-Addo is going to have a share. Okay. Why are you demonstrating? Nana Akufo-Addo is going to have his share. But the president we are just announced the names yet. So why are you? But these names are just rumors. This is not a rumor because we are all evidence are pointing to the fact that this is authentic. It has come on Twitter. It has come on so many social media. Okay, you will agree with me. What is that? That the nomination is coming from the first gentleman of the Republic. Yes. Now, what we are seeing today, wouldn't that be an indictment and more or less a disrespectful something to His Excellency the President? His Excellency should know.
As I told you earlier, we'll have an in-studio discussion about this phenomenon. But first, my colleague Matilda Womega has put together this report. Let's watch this.
There have been growing tension and agitations in parts of the country over the appointment of MMDCES. So far, the 4 metropolitan chief executives for Accra, Kumasi, Sekandi, Takoradi and Tamale received overwhelming votes from almost all assembly members. But in the case of municipal and district chief executives, angry supporters of the new patriotic party in the Boku West constituency of the Upper East region on Tuesday evening vandalized their party office and some departmental offices in the Zebila district over the alleged appointment of Victoria Ayamba as the district chief executive for the area. At Elubo in the Jumoro constituency of the Western region, some youth were on the heels of the MP, claiming he had deceived them after promising to ensure that their preferred candidate gets nominated. In the Greater Accra region, Tema and Ashaiman chiefs and some supporters have already issued a stern warning that they will not support and work with anyone who is not an indigene of the area. Some even accused the Greater Accra Regional Minister, Ishmael Ashiti, of alleged lobbying for a relative to fill the position. With the official announcements now coming from the presidency, the local government minister, Haji Alima Mahama, believes the tension will be reduced. She called for calm and support among party members.
These are capable men and women with expertise, experience, and temperament to head the assemblies and inspire a new era of rapid development in our country. This is the time for solidarity and focus on overcoming the great challenges that confront our nation, so we can build together the prosperous and thriving Ghana we all desire.
Chairman of the committee, Peter McMenu, condemned the actions of party faithful displeased with the president's choice. He says the law enforcement agency must deal with anyone found culpable of violating the law in the name of registering displeasure at the appointments.
First, let me condemn the action of Zebila MPP group who did that. I expect the police, this is to act And this is a criminal offense, and it has no color, whether you are MPP or NDC or whatever. Takrady and Accra. It was a difficult job. I myself was surprised, for example, at the quality of educational material certificates that people brought on board. Masters, PhDs, medical officers, etc. Okay, so it made the job quite difficult. But there was considerable, extensive consultations in the various districts, the district assembly members, the chiefs and queen mothers, the opinion leaders, the party machinery at the constituency and regional levels, the council of state members. So we tap deep into a lot of knowledge of people in the various districts to be able to have an idea. And then during the interviews, which was also done at 3 levels, at the district level, at the regional level, and at our level, we're able to know who could perform the task ahead as a district chief executive.
The next hurdle for these nominees is to secure 2/3 of assembly members' vote as approval to occupy the office. Matilda Humaga for Joy News, Accra.
Joining me in the studio now is Vincent Azuma. He is the regional coordinator in charge of research, monitoring and evaluation at ONEP. Thanks for joining us on Newsdesk, sir.
Thank you very much.
I'm sure you watched the report, and you've also heard a number of, these cases. This is not the first time that we're seeing agitations after the presidents have nominated, personnel for these positions. Is there anything wrong with our system where the president appoints people?
Yeah, it goes back into history where it used to be we appointing anybody from anywhere during the early Jerry days, where you could go from the Volta region and be a DCE in the northern region without any problem. Then as time went on, we started clamoring for people that came from the area that we said we come from, because we thought they understood the context of the area and actually will work harder to develop. But it doesn't seem to be working. And so it questions the processes of consultation in the district before someone is actually appointed. So how is the process? We don't think consultation is deep enough. We don't think participation in selecting who is capable of handling the district is good enough. So that is why we are seeing a lot of these agitations.
But you just said that it started from a point where if I were in Volta region, I could be appointed to be a DCE, for example, in the Western region. And then people thought that that was not good enough. And so it suggests that where we are right now, we the people called for it.
Yes,
so if we the people called for it, then why are we still seeing the agitations?
It is because you question, how is that person selected? Is it for political reasons or through participation by the chiefs, by the youth of the area, that this is the person, this is the woman, this is the man that we think has the capability, has the capacity to actually lead the district, to develop the district, or because the person can bring it votes. So some of this come to play, and the youth and the people in the area may not like that person, and so they kind of agitate.
But we just heard Peter McMeno saying that these people who have been nominated have the competence to do the job. Yesterday, we also heard the local government minister, Alima Mahama, also saying that, yes, these people had the competence, and the others who were not selected, they could be given other roles to play.
Yes, they may have the competence, according to the party. But how do the people in the area look at this person? Don't also forget that there's a theory that says people think to be able to control the resources and power of the area, that person should be my person. Then I can get a job, then I can get to travel abroad. So if that person is not my person, then I have to fight and bring my person in place. So that is where the conflict issues come in. So if one group is fighting for party A, or someone who is A, and then another group is fighting for, let the president's appointee stay, then you have two groups possibly going to clash. So that is where the conflict issues come in.
I'll come back to you again. We have our colleague Maxwell Agbagba. He's standing by with Senior Programs Officer at the Center for Democratic Development, Nana Kwabena Abrampa Mensa. Maxwell, take over. Okay, so we are still trying to restore that with Maxwell, but you were making a point about all these things coming in. But it is not just about people just voicing their concerns. Today, we heard people saying that they are going to burn offices of the party. They are going to burn paraphernalia. They are going to ensure that what they did yesterday is not just the end of it. From ONEP, you being the regional security agency, as it were, what is contributing to all of this? Is it just a mere, violence, or there's some sort of, how do you call it? I just want to know whether this is just people have a case or they are just being violent for being violent sake.
No, I think I've said on this platform and many other platforms before that this is not something that is just happening today. It's been building up slowly over the years. So we are seeing the total breakdown of law and order. We are seeing people beginning to believe that before I can succeed in life, I must have a hold on power. Or my person, my mother, my sister, my brother should be in a position of power. Then I can also get a job. I can also get a good education and all that. So all these factors come to play. So what we are seeing in the streets of Zebula and all the other places are not just happenings of today. There be things that have been building up over the years, and we fail to actually keep this in the bud. And we are also seeing that our law enforcement agencies are a bit slow to react. So you begin to question yourself, what are the response mechanisms? Because this didn't just happen out of the blue. We had information that this is likely to happen. What are the structures that were put in place by the law to prevent this?
Hold your horses there. We'll come back to you, Mr. Azuma. But like I said, my colleague Maxwell Agbagba is standing by with the programs officer, the senior programs officer at CDD, Mr. Abrampa. Hello, Maxwell.
Yes, Beatrice. Okay. Thank you, Beatrice. So, Beatrice, we're continuing the conversation here at the premises of the Center for Democratic Development. And as you rightly mentioned, I have your Abrampa Mensa, and I'm going to put some of the questions to him. Get him to let us understand why we are having this, ugly phenomenon where it has into Ghana's politics. I mean, it has existed for a very long time, and it's high time, we put a stop to it. Mr. Abrampa Mensa is here with me, ready to continue with the conversation. Mr. Mensa, in fact, with the benefit of hindsight, proud to the announcement of the MMDCE nominees, the Northern Regional Minister actually met constituency chairman of the New Patriotic Party in Tamale, proud to the announcement, because they had expected that some violence, would erupt after the announcement. When the minister was actually announcing the MMDCE nominees, he actually asked people to calm down. So it looks like we know and we expect that things like this would happen, but it looks like all these things did not curtail the situation, and we're still going down, down that slopey, road. What really is accounting for this, Mr. Mensa?
Well, thank you very much. I was even going to add that the security agencies, just like the Northern Region chairman of the MPP did, will also have positioned themselves to curtail some of the outrages that will come up, that will greet the release of the lists, because it's not the first time. Exactly. I did mention in one of my interviews that what we expect when the list is released, and that was the caution I gave out, that it's something that has been part of our electoral process. As soon as there's a change of government, we know what happens. Quick, just like a revolution, people position themselves, and then before even the elections, they have positioned themselves to be taking over certain state institutions when their governments want power. And as soon as a list of DCs are nominated, are mentioned, the same thing happens. We like, we don't like. In the previous year, it was to indigens and non-indigens. This person is from this person is not from here. I heard one of the people from the Western region, I think in Poho also, that we don't even know the person who is coming here. He's not from here. We don't know him. They did not contribute anything to the cause of the of our political party's fortunes. This is it. So yes, you are right that the political leadership, the minister in charge of the local governance did mention before the release. The northern regional minister said, I've also heard there was attack at Tiwa. Exactly. Yeah, and the deputy minister also came up to also caution her people. And even in the Busa North. Yeah, Savrigu Nantom, Aguna Suedro, all these things have been happening. The first thing I'll tell you is that it is because of the style of governance we practice in this country, as people have termed it, winner takes all. And because of also politicking that goes on, and because of the perception that if my political party is not on power, I'm nobody. So people tie their fortunes all their lives into the fortunes of their political party. So as soon as their political parties come to power, they expect something. And you know, in Ghana here, people have the perception that if my own is the leader, I stand a chance of getting whatever I want. That attachment and the mutual mistrust and suspicion between the two leading political parties bring some of these outrages. So I'm not surprised it happened, and it's not the first time it's been happening. The question, as you put it, is how do we curb it?
Now, how do we curb it? There are some who are actually proposing that going forward we should look at, electing MMDCEs. In fact, the MPP mentioned it in the run-up to the election. It's even contained in their manifesto that in 24 months they would look at the election of MMDCEs. There are others who are opposing that, saying that if we go ahead to elect them, what would happen is that you have a situation where a DC is elected and he may not necessarily, be in line with the political ideology of the government in power. When that happens, he can scuttle the plans of the government in power. But you surely have some reservations about that as well.
Well, thank you very much, my brother. It's a good topic you've brought up. In fact, I said in one of my platforms that as it stands now, a DC position is the last position I'll set, even if the government puts on my lap freely. A DC is just like a dead animal there that everybody is pulling parts for meal. The constituency executives are on you, the national executives are on you, the party foot soldiers are on you. Let me tell you something. We have on the record that some of the past DCEs who were asked by their people based on non-performance to be sacked, the reasons were not actually the fact that they were not performing, but the reasons were the fact that they were not prepared to succumb to the various demands of their political party, especially the party executives, the secretaries and the chairmen, the numerous demands that they make on them. So in order for us to make that position, when you talk of a chief executive, we are talking about somebody who possesses the wherewithal to turn the district around. But as it stands now, and when you look into the comments, you listen to the comments that are coming, they expect somebody who has first contributed to the fortunes of the party, who they know as an indigene there, who is a member of their political party. This one will go to Article 241 of the Constitution, does not conform to any of the criteria. The only solution to that is the election of the DC based on non-political lines. Excuse me. There are people in the country who do not want to be tagged as politicians or who don't want to belong to any political ideology. These people will offer themselves for the position. And we go to get people with the knowledge, with the capacity, who can look at the resources of the district and turn things around. And this will also curtail the accountability to the political heads and give accountability to the people at the district who nominated or elected their people to serve them. And therefore, this kind of hold that we hold allegiance to them because you came through the ticket of a political party will die down. I sometimes listen to some of the comments that also come about that when it happens that way, there's the potential that district chief executives who have a different ideology from the ruling government's ideology may sabotage its efforts. This thing doesn't come in at all. When you look into the development agenda of the country, development policies are prepared from bottom up. And they must be aligned to the National Development Plan prepared by the National Development Planning Commission. And therefore, there's a guideline for you to prepare. Now, there's a strict expenditure pattern that all expenditure from the district are approved online. So if you have approved development plan that subsumes from the national development agenda, on what basis is somebody going to sabotage a ruling government? Because there's a plan prepared from the unit level, constituency level, to the district level, accepted by the regional coordinating council. It goes to the National Development Planning Commission and it becomes part of the national agenda. In your expenditure part, you are going to follow the same action plan, medium-term development plan, from which you've prepared your action plan. Okay. So if there's this guideline and your approval pattern is based on specifics from the action plan, based on which is somebody going to sabotage a government, I believe it's something that we should give it a try. In order for us to reduce the pressure on district chief executives, and some of these introduce that comes up anytime release lists of district chief executives. The accountability will now not lie on the people to hinge his fortune to his district chief executive, but it will be on the people who elected the president, and therefore all the people in the district, and not one political party.
Well, interesting. So you are for the election of MMDCs. Now, I want to find out from you, how do we cure the likely partisanship that will be associated even when we decide to, elect MMDCs? Because we are in a country where everything is political, even from churches to football clubs and all of that. How do we cure that potential, partisanship that would creep into even the election of MMDC? Should we go that way?
The Constitution has already killed that thing. The only thing is about enforcement. That's why when you look into the CODIO post-election review communique, we are asking the Electoral Commission to establish a special branch for monitoring of political parties on all other actions of legality of elections. The Constitution says that any political party who intrudes or who support any candidate in local government elections, that political party has a sanction. And therefore, if we want to cure that, it is already provided for in the Constitution. And if the Electoral Commission enforces that, we have the law there to cure it. So if you're a political party and you support a candidate in local government elections, you are suspended. If you are a candidate and you use it or you mount your campaign on the platform of political parties, you are suspended. So the law is already there. It's up to us building the capacity or giving the needed resources to the Electoral Commission to be able to enforce the law.
Okay. So, Beatrice, you had it for yourself. That is Mr. Mensah Brampa. He is for the election of MMDCs. He thinks that that is the way to go, and that is the only way we can cure what we are experiencing in our political, life as a country right now, where after the announcement of MMDC nominees, we have, violence erupting in, certain parts of the country. So, over to you, Beatrice, you're doing the studio.
Maxwell Agbagba, quite interesting views there, some of them confirming what Mr. Azuma, you've been telling us about people thinking that if this is my own, then I would get everything I need as a person in this area or community. But what do you think of his suggestion that indeed electing these people and enforcing the regulations in our constitution is the way to go to end all of these unnecessary, pockets of violence here and there?
I think I totally agree with him, because then all these agitations will stop, because the people who will be agitating will be the people who will be electing these people. So once they themselves go and elect a DCE, and the DCE doesn't work well to what they expect him or her to do, then during the next election, they can actually put that person out and bring in a new person. So I totally agree to the election of the DCEs, and I just think that this is one of the things that if then another government is able to do, it will become one of the best achievements for his government.
But right now we are having the agitations. How do you think, as a security person with OneUp, how do you think we can manage the situation now?
I think the law enforcement agencies should actually do their work professionally. And we also call on the MPP leadership to actually go to all these districts and try to calm these guys down and take them away from the street. This is something that I thought they could have done even earlier. When they had news that these agitations could come, they could have sent leadership to those areas and actually consult these guys and try to take them off the street. Because if this is not done now or soon enough, it could lead to something. Maybe the police goes in and tries to stop the violence that we are seeing on the streets so far, and maybe if there's tear gas and other issues coming, someone could lose his or her life, and we should not wait for that to happen before we actually stop this.
Thank you so much for joining us in studio, and we're just speaking with Vincent Azuma. He is in charge, he's a coordinator for research, evaluation, monitoring and evaluation at Waneb. Thank you for joining us in studio. On the line with me is the Northern Regional Police Commander. You recall that some of these pockets of violence, a lot of them came from the northern part of the country. We had Tolon, Sangnerugu, and Savelugu as well. And so we'll be getting some answers from the Regional Police Commander. ACP Patrick Sapon joins us live on the line. Good morning to you, sir. Thank you for joining us. All right, so we don't have him now, but you're still watching News Desk on Joy News. Let's go to the Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping Training Center here in Accra, where officers there have been organizing the first series on reflection on security for 2017. My colleague Matilda Wamega is there and joins us live on the line. Matilda, tell us what's happening there. And we're trying to restore contact to my colleague, Matilda Wamega. You're still watching News There. Stay with us. We'll be back shortly with more.